Good evening and welcome. You're with News First, your number one news provider. I'm Shamir Rasuldi.
A very good evening to you. I'm Florine Rajendran. Before going into the stories in detail, here's a look at tonight's headlines.
Second reading of the bill on the 19th Amendment to the Constitution passed in Parliament. Opposition raises questions in the Parliament over gazette allegedly issued by the Prime Minister without the knowledge of the President. Death toll from Nepal earthquake could rise above 10,000. A statement from Nepal's Prime Minister. Donations made to Sri Lanka for Nepal humanitarian program to reach Nepal within 2 days.
And now the news in detail. The second reading of the bill on the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was passed in Parliament this evening with 215 MPs voting in favour, 1 against, 1 abstention and 7 absent.
දානම්වන ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධන 50 කෙටුම්පත දෙවන වර කියවීම පක්ෂව 215යි විපක්ෂව 1යි වැලකී සිටි 1යි නොපැමිණි 7යි ඒ අනුව දෙවන කියවීම සම්මතයි කාර්ක සභාව
Now, following the vote, the House was adjourned for 15 minutes following a request made by MP Dinesh Gunawardena for copies of all committee stage amendments to be made to the bill to be presented to MPs in all 3 languages. A tense situation arose when the MPs made this request. The committee stage debate is currently underway. The final vote or the vote on the third reading of the bill will be held following the committee stage debate. Now, we are joined by News First Ramesh Bandaru, who is at the Parliamentary Complex. A very good evening to you, Ramesh. And tell us what exactly is happening right now in Parliament. Ramesh, tell us what exactly is happening right now in Parliament with regard to the 19th Amendment to the Constitution.
Good evening, Shamir.
A very good evening to you, Ramesh. Tell us what exactly is happening right now in Parliament with regard to the 19th
Well, Shamir, as you know, the proposed 19th Amendment to the Constitution passed with a special majority. The second reading of the proposed 19th Amendment passed with a special majority. And now the committee stage debate of the 19th Amendment is currently underway, where parliamentarians get the opportunity to scrutinize the proposed amendment and give in their ideas to the amendment that has been proposed already. Currently, 10 clauses of the proposed 19th Amendment have been discussed and approved, and the debate is still continuing, Shamir.
Thank you very much, Ramesh, for that quick update. That, of course, was News First. Ramesh Bandar reporting live from the Parliamentary Complex. Stay with News First. We will keep you fully updated with regard to all the developments that is taking place in the Parliament.
The opposition raised questions in Parliament today over a gazette notice that has been issued by the Prime Minister without the knowledge of the President. Speaking to News First, MP Dallas Ala Perima said that the President's attention was drawn to the matter during the UPFA Parliamentary Group meeting.
This extraordinary gazette was issued on the 13th of February for the purpose of establishing the Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division. The gazette reads that special complaints can be forwarded by the Cabinet Subcommittee headed by the Prime Minister directly to the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the division. The opposition is of the stance that this creates space for political vengeance to be exacted.
The Prime Minister has now appointed a committee and has started issuing orders to arrest whoever he wants to. I would like to ask if this is good governance.
I am not a policeman. There is wide-scale crime taking place, especially with regard to financial fraud, serious frauds. Our policemen in Sri Lanka did not have any knowledge, the need or the knowledge as to how to carry out such cases. But now a team from the Bureau of Serious Frauds from the United Kingdom met with the Justice Minister and trained them. Training will also be given by Financial Crimes Division in India. Even the Department of Justice from America came to Sri Lanka. This appointment was made to look into corruption, because if you are not knowledgeable, it is not like we can seek help from the outside.
It is different if knowledge is obtained from outside and the police worked as an independent body. However, the problem we have here is that the committee is headed by the Prime Minister and a group of ministers. According to the Gazette, it does not operate via the IGP. They can approach the DIG directly. This is entirely political. If a complaint is lodged against someone who supports the Prime Minister's government, this committee will not submit it. The DIG has been given hope that he will be made the next IGP.
I have not given any orders to the DIG and I have promised him nothing. He was promised that he would receive a post if he went to Jaffna and stop people from voting for Maithripala Sirisena. They are presenting suspicions in their minds. For shame.
It is my belief that the Honourable Prime Minister has not given a definite response to the problems we raised as the opposition. Do not give a wrong interpretation to the people. Do not attempt to interpret it as an attempt to stop the procedure of action being taken against corruption by the MPs. The suspicion we are raising with one voice is if this is one step in the journey towards becoming a police state.
Policemen will not sit in the cabinet subcommittee. We are only referring it. Even you can go and refer anything to them. I think Lakshman Kiriyalla is well aware and he can tell you.
Order, please. Now, speaking to Newsfirst, MP Dallas Ala Perma elaborated on the matters that were considered at the UPFA parliamentary group meeting today with regard to this gazette.
This is a bad precedent. This is one step towards a police state and it should be removed immediately. The parliament was not informed about this. Even the President Maithripala Sirisena was not aware of this extraordinary gazette notification until the UPFA parliamentary group met. The Prime Minister, together with the UNP parliamentarians, created this secretive procedure in order to politically hunt down their rivals. As public representatives, we stand firm that these secretive institutions and special laws established to hunt down political rivals must be shut down with immediate effect.
Now, earlier in the day, United People's Freedom Alliance parliamentarian Bandula Gunawardena raised a privilege question in Parliament.
මාගේ මන්ත්‍රී වරප්‍රසාද බරපතල ලෙස උල්ලංඝනය වී ඇති බව සඳහන් කරමි. අප්‍රේල් 20 වෙනි දින පෙරවරුවේ මම
I wish to state that my parliamentary privileges have been severely violated. I entered the premises of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption on the morning of the 20th of April. I visited the Commission to request that the investigation on the complaint made against me by a JVP provincial councillor to the Commission be expedited. Moments later, the former Secretary of Defence arrived at the location in his vehicle. I went to him and engaged in a discussion with him. As I felt suspicious over the security measures taken over the arrival of the former Secretary of Defence, as a public representative accountable to the people, I remained in the premises of the Commission. The former Secretary of Defence, who arrived moments later, noted that he had obtained a separate date and discussed matters with me. When I was arriving at the exit gate with the former Secretary of Defence, there were police officers, journalists and members of the public in large numbers present there. Therefore, walking through was difficult. The former Secretary of Defence then got into his vehicle to depart. Myself, along with Bandula Padmakumara, boarded the vehicle and exited the premises. An elaboration was made to the people and the media from the vehicle. I did not have any connection to obstruct the road or cause defamation to court or even violate a court order.
අධිකරණ නියෝගයක් කඩ කිරීමට හෝ මගේ අබමල් රේණුවකවත් සම්බන්ධයක් නැහැ. අන්න අය වෙන කෙනෙක් එළියට යන්නේ. හරි ඉතින් මම කියන්නේ
Someone else was leaving. If that is all that he has done, if that is the only wrong that he has committed, he can make note of it to court. We need to show that this chamber is not a parent for the rogues.
Parliamentarian Professor Rajiv Vijay has written to the chairman of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, seeking that an investigation be carried out into Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. In his letter, Professor Rajiv Vijay states that if former President Mahinda Rajapaksa is being investigated on the accusation of having bribed Parliamentarian Tisatha Naika, then an investigation can be undertaken on the Prime Minister too on a similar accusation. Professor Rajiv Vijay reports to the chairman of the commission that he had been told by the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe that Minister Rauf Hakim had wanted a payment to cross over to support the campaign of the current president. Furthermore, the MP claims that the Prime Minister had also told Parliamentarian M.S. Sumandaran that Minister Rushad Badiuddin was given a ministerial portfolio because that had been condition of his support for the current president.
Now, various factions commented yesterday and today on the inclusion of the harmful clauses to the 19th Amendment to the Constitution.
Since the Prime Minister led this procedure of striking out, crossing out and sticking together clauses for the want of political brokers and in order to receive short-term political benefits, what long-term benefit the country will receive is questionable. Thereby, I believe that because of the untidiness of this amendment, further amendments will be introduced to purify it.
සංශෝධන මගින් කිරීමට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම සිදු වෙන බව.
අද වෙනකොට කියනවා මාධ්‍ය වාරණය පිළිබඳව.
Today they have said that they will withdraw the clause that censors the media. Why was it included in the first place? The Supreme Court said the large-scale transfer of power from the President to the Prime Minister cannot be done without a referendum. Why? Because it was a blow to the sovereignty of the people. Through their attempt to include it, we can understand what they were trying to do. Will Ranil Wickremesinghe, who tried to do this, not do so if he is victorious in the parliamentary election? Ranil Wickremesinghe has already said that once they are victorious at the parliamentary election, they will introduce a new constitution, transferring power to the Prime Minister.
I clearly state that if Ranil was able to win the presidential election and become president, then he and the UNP would never have introduced such an amendment to the constitution, because they could have made Ranil president and then done what they require. They are introducing this for one reason only, and that is because Ranil cannot become president.
Ranil Wickremesinghe කියන්නේ කවුද?
Who is
Ranil Wickremesinghe කියන්නේ කවදාවත් ඡන්දකයෙන් බලයට ඇවිල්ලා අගමැතිකම ලබා ගන්න බැරි කෙනෙක්. ජනාධිපතිකම ලබා ගන්න බැරි කෙනෙක්. පිටුපත් අගමැති කෙනෙක් තමයි ඉන්නේ. හැඟීමක් තියෙන්න බෑ. ඇත්තෙම නෑ.
Welcome back to the news. Views were expressed at the Western Provincial Council sitting today over the use of a distorted national flag at a demonstration opposite the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption recently. Subsequent to the tea break today, UNP Western Provincial Councillor Mujibur Rahman proposed for the suspension of rules to present a motion on the matter, to which the chief whip of the ruling party, Sisira Joykodi, protested. Later, a tense situation arose in the council chamber.
රීති අතර පක්ෂව ඡන්ද 24යි එම යෝජනාවට විපක්ෂ ඡන්ද 31යි වැලකේසිරි මන්ත්‍රී කිසිවෙකු නැත ඒ අනුව රීති අතර යෝජනාව වැඩි ඡන්ද 7කින් සමාජ සම්බන්ධ වූ බව අවසන් ප්‍රකාශ කර සිටිනවා. අරු මන්ත්‍රී තමන්ගේ අනිපත අසුන් වලට යන්න. මම මේ අවස්ථාවේදීම කරු සභාව විනාඩි 10ක් කල් තබන විනාඩි 10කට. විනාඩි 10කට කරු සභාව කල් තබනවා.
Sajid Premadasa, the Minister of Housing and Samurdhi, says that the nation has been able to regain the international recognition that it lost over the recent past. The minister made this observation in Lunugambehara today.
In the past, the international community despised us. John Kerry, the US Secretary of State, is coming to Sri Lanka after so many years. The international community has blessed the positive development this government is undertaking in the country. John Kerry will be arriving in Sri Lanka with a historical development package.
John Kerry mahatmaya අපේ රටට සැපත්.
Minister Sajid Premadasa made this observation while declaring open the Boat 7 water supply project for the Sinimunna village in Lunugambehara.
Nepal's Prime Minister Sushil Koirala has warned that the number killed in the earthquake could double to 10,000 people. The UN estimates that 8 million people have been affected by the quake.
The World Food Programme says 1.4 million people are in need of immediate help. Despite international aid and relief workers reaching Nepal since the disaster struck, reports from Kathmandu say that there is a shortage of medical and food supplies. According to local authorities, there is a severe shortage in drugs, dry food and blankets, as well as helicopters, doctors and drivers to reach the affected areas. Although the affected areas are not far from the capital Kathmandu, damaged roads have proved it difficult for rescuers and relief workers to reach villages that were affected by Saturday's deadly earthquake. With phone lines down and electricity out, search and rescue in Nepal has been crippled. According to early seismological data obtained from sound waves which travelled through Earth after an earthquake, the ground beneath the capital Kathmandu may have moved about 3 meters southward. While Kathmandu moved, it is unlikely that the height of Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world, changed more than a few millimeters, with the mountain not directly above the fault line. Thousands of Nepalis began fleeing the capital Kathmandu, terror-stricken by 3 days of powerful aftershocks. Just days after, a deepening sanitation crisis and looming monsoons are threatening to deal fresh blows to the disaster-stricken nation. The country's annual rainy season officially begins in June and typically lasts until September, bringing daily heavy downpours as well as the risk of floods and landslides which are sure to hamper relief operations. Over in Tibet, authorities have taken measures to evacuate people to safer locations due to the threat of aftershocks. Footage of the moment a massive earthquake struck Nepal and the Himalayas has emerged, filmed by a survivor in the Tibet Autonomous Region of China. This is the incredible moment a woman was rescued from the debris of the Nepal earthquake, 50 hours after being buried under the rubble. Rescue workers of India's National Disaster Response Force pulled a Nepalese woman alive from debris. The woman was rushed to a nearby hospital in Kathmandu.
Some compelling footage that you witnessed from Nepal. The Sri Lanka Army, which has responded to the disaster in Nepal, commenced their relief work in the midst of heavy rains. Newsfirst was able to contact Major General Maitri Dias, who is heading the Sri Lankan relief effort in Nepal.
From Kathmandu, we were sent to an area 60 kilometers onto the northeast side, and it's called Dolalghat. Our main focus was to provide medical facilities for the people who are affected in this area. Yesterday, we treated about 150 and serious cases were transferred to Kathmandu Hospital, General Hospital. For these, I have got 4 doctors, 1 surgeon, and 3 other doctors from National Hospital Colombo, and I have got 2 doctors and 17 medical staff from Army, and also Army engineers who are helping me to carry out the task. Last morning, the Army engineers had to climb up about 2 kilometers to the hill, and they had to restore the water line, and the Army engineers did it. Army engineers had to clear few roads for the vehicles to pass, and I had to send a special team consisting of 3 doctors in a special vehicle hired. Doctors went for the first time last evening to that area, and they treated 19 patients. There were 2 patients with spinal injuries, and they too were transferred. Today, from this morning, we have got about 50 patients over here. At this moment, of course, it has started raining, and the people in this area is mainly requesting for shelter, like canopies, tents, and food items. And I was told by from Army headquarters, the commander of the Army, along with the government, they have organized 2 aircraft to come tomorrow with all the relief items for the people.
That, of course, was Major General Maitri Dayas speaking to us from Nepal earlier in the day. Now, there was a sigh of relief for the families of a group of Sri Lankans, including students who were stranded in Nepal, who reached the island this morning.
42 persons, including Sri Lankan students from the Manipal College of Medical Sciences in Nepal and the Under-14 girls football team who were taking part at the AFC Under-14 Championships in Nepal, reached the island today.
I hope that I will never have to face such a situation ever again. The ground was still shaking even when we left Sri Lanka. Our Air Force helped us immensely. They always kept us updated on the condition of the flight and told us not to be afraid. They told us that they will take us back to Sri Lanka as quickly as possible. I thank every single one of them. We were all outside. We did not understand what was happening as a result of the shock. We have never experienced an earthquake before. We were all afraid. A number of children were wounded.
All relief items accepted via the Newsfirst Sirisa Shakti Sri Lanka for Nepal humanitarian program for those affected by the Nepal earthquake will be distributed within the coming 2 days. The relief items will be handed over to the Disaster Management Center for distribution in Nepal.
Newsfirst Sirisa and Shakti commenced the collection of relief for the victims of Nepal the day before yesterday. We, who always extend our hand to those in need, have received assistance from the Ministry of Disaster Management, the Disaster Management Center, Security Forces and the Police Environment Unit to carry out this endeavour. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is assisting in the coordination of this endeavour. Relief items were collected at the Harrison's Building, number 330, TB Jayamawata, Colombo 10.
ඔයාලගේ සිරසෙන් තමයි දැනගත්තේ. ඉතින් ඔය කටි කරනවා අපි උදව් කරනවා. මම හිතන්නේ මම මේ තුන්වෙනි සැරේ ඔයාලත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන.
ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ නිවුස් වලින් තමයි දැනගත්තේ. ඉතින් අපි හිතුවා මේ වගේ දෙයක් අපි කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. මොකද අතරම කිව්වොත් මම බෞද්ධයෙක්. ඉතින් නේපාලේ කියන්නේ අපේ අදහන අපේ බුදුහාමුදුරු ඉපදිච්ච රට. ඉතින් අපිට දෙයක් ලැබිච්ච රටේ ජනතාවට අපි මොනවා කරේ නැත්නම් ඒක අපේ බෞද්ධකමින් වැඩ නැහැ කියලා හිතුණා.
Based on our request, we received blankets, warm clothing, drinking water, milk powder, canned fish, dry rations, first aid kits, tents, baby products and women's sanitary items.
ඒ වෙලාවේ මට හිතුණා මේ සිරස මාධ්‍යවේදී කරන සියලුම මේ සත්උපකාර කාට හරි කරදරයක් වෙන අවස්ථාවේදී මේ කරන මෙහෙවර හරි අති උතුම්.
අපට සිරස මාධ්‍ය ජාලයෙන් තමයි මේ පණිවිඩය ලැබුණේ. ඉතින් අපිත් ලොකු දෙයක් නෙවෙයි පොඩි ආදරයක් කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වුණා මේකට.
අපි දැනගත්තේ සිරස ටීවී එක බලනකොට ඒ channel එකේ මෙහෙම ප්‍රකාශයක් කරා. ඒ අනුව තමයි අපි මේ මෙතෙන්ට බඩ බාර දෙන්න ආවේ අවශ්‍ය ද්‍රව්‍යයන්.
ඉතින් අපේ රටෙත් මේ වගේ දෙයක් වෙච්ච හින්දා අපිට හැඟීම වැඩි. ඉතින් ඒ හින්දා මේ සිරස මේ වගේ දෙයක් කරගෙන ගැන බොහොම සතුටුයි අපි.
මම ඔයිට ගන්න සිරස ආයතනයේට මේ වගේ පුළුවන් විදිහට අපි ආධාර කරලා තිනවා. අපිට දෙයක් වුණා හා සමානව තමයි අපිත් හිතන්නේ.
ඉතා ආගේ කරනවා මේ වැඩසටහන. මොකද මම නේපාලී එක්සත් ජාතීන්ගේ සංවිධානයේ වෛද්‍යවරයා වශයෙන් වැඩ කරේ. නමුත් මේ අවස්ථාවේ මගේ මේ තියෙන ආබාධිත තත්වයේ උඩ මට නේපාල් වලට ගිහලා වැඩ කරන්න අමාරුයි. නැත්තම් මම අනිවාර්යෙන් යනවා.
කාර්යය ඇත්තටම හුඟක් හොඳයි. ඒක කියන්නේ ලොකු පිනක් සිද්ධ වෙනවනේ අපිටත් අපේ සංසාරේ කෙටි කරගන්න හේතු වෙන ඒ පිනත් මේ ආයතනයට අනුමෝදන් වෙනවා.
කාර්යය අති උතුම් සත්කාරයක්. මම හිතනවා මේ සැරේ වෙසක් එකට දෙන දන්සල් ඒවා මේ ඔක්කොම එක්කව කරලා දුන්නා නම් හොඳම දන්සල මේක වෙනවා. අපේ තාත්තා නිවුස් බලලා තිබුණා. ඒකෙදී යාට අදහසක් ඇති වෙලා ඉවරලා මේ එයා කිව්වා මේකට ඉක්මනින්ම ගිහලා ආධාරයක් ලබා දෙන්න කියලා.
We had to halt the collection of relief at noon today due to the lack of space in the aircraft carrying the cargo to Nepal. Since roads in Nepal have been ruined by the earthquake and since the Kathmandu airport is only open for relief services, only limited air services are in operation. Every time such a disaster or grave situation arises, Sirasa has come forward and collected enormous financial funds and items. If this was to be transported within Sri Lanka, they would have facilitated it. But since this is overseas, we are making arrangements for this to be facilitated through the national carrier.
Therefore, based on the instructions and guidelines by the Disaster Management Centre, we handed over the generous contributions to the centre. The handing over of relief was undertaken by the management of the Capital Maharaja organisation to the Secretary of the Disaster Management Centre. The Disaster Management Centre notes that steps will be taken to transport the relief to Nepal tomorrow.
My first note of gratitude and thank you goes out to the people of Sri Lanka. When we sent out a notification, an announcement last evening to contribute to Sri Lanka for Nepal, we never expected this sort of overwhelming response. I think what this has shown is that we've seen in the past, when we've requested for help for Sri Lanka, the response has been immense and incredible. But we almost didn't expect this kind of response for another country.
You came forward when your countrymen were in need of help. Today, you have come forward to assist our neighbours. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to you.
You're with News First. Take a look at other local stories now. The Deputy Minister of Justice, Sujiva Senasinghe, says that false allegations relating to copper deals carried out by him are baseless. He made this statement at a media briefing convened today.
ඇමතිවරයෙක් වශයෙන් අපිට අයිතිය තියෙනවා උසාවි ඉදිරිපත් වෙන්න. කලින් මේ නඩුවට පෙනී හිටියේ නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ.
The number of this case is PR/EV/FPO/FPO/800/2013. This case was initially handled by Namal Rajapaksa's law firm called RR. They took 2.5 million rupees, but they did not do anything. That is why the client came to me. I have been doing inquiries for this case for 1 year. Even though I did not directly represent this case, a lawyer handled this matter, and it was because there was no proof in relation. I intervened and told them to release it. This individual, who introduced himself as a journalist of the newspaper, spoke to me and obtained all the information. Later it was reported in this newspaper that after I was appointed as the Deputy Minister, I have made unnecessary influences while appearing in the Court of Appeal. I will be taking legal action against this. Mud has been slung at me on numerous occasions, especially with regard to an actress. One time they slung mud at me saying that I had an affair with a female parliamentarian. That is why I would like to request all media organizations to work responsibly. Do not sling mud at us for lies.
Small tea holders are facing a situation where they are unable to sell the tea shoots from their plantations. They point out that most have stopped plucking tea shoots.
Over the past few months, the drop in Sri Lankan tea prices saw a decline in tea shoot prices as well. 75% of the small tea holders engaged in the industry are facing a crisis in this backdrop.
I have around 10 acres. I employ around 10 to 12 people. At present, tea shoots are not purchased by any of the traders. Therefore, we are unable to pluck any of the tea shoots.
We are facing difficulties. We survive doing labor work on a daily basis.
Recently, the government introduced a certified price of 80 rupees per kilogram of raw tea shoots as a solution to the issue faced by the tea smallholders.
A month or two ago, we were given a price between 60 and 65 rupees. But recently, the price dropped to between 45 to 50 rupees. Traders do not purchase tea shoots. We are not sure of a price for this month.
Tea shoot collectors point out that as factories too have cut down in the purchasing of tea shoots, they are faced with disposing a portion of the shoots purchased by them.
When we provide these collected tea shoots, the factory rejects it. Due to various reasons, factories too have closed down. This is the fate that has befallen the tea industry.
The tea smallholders request authorities to focus their attention to this issue and provide a solution.
Well, that's a wrap of tonight's edition of Primetime News. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Florine Rajendran.
And I'm Shamir Rasuldin. Just a reminder, you could log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk for the story that you're following right on Newsfirst. Also, a kind reminder, we of course will keep our viewers fully updated with regard to the development that is taking place in Parliament over the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. The update is that the second reading of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution has been passed. We are waiting the third reading of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. Stay connected, stay with News First. We, of course, will join you tomorrow, same time, same place. Till then, take care and good night.